Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we will be reacting to Bullet Train. So, right off the bat, this is not a donation reward. This is obviously not a holiday special video. This is just something I wanted to react to. And I honestly did not want to wait until someone possibly chose it as a donation reward reaction. I did not want to wait for this. I wanted to see this in theaters. Um, but I just never got the chance to. So, yeah, pretty much right when I saw other people were reacting to it, pretty much right when I saw that it was available on streaming, it's like I knew I had to get to it. So, I don't know a lot about Bullet Train. All I know is I believe, about spies. It stars Brad Pitt, um, and from what I saw in the trailer and from what I remember, like he and some others are trying to like play a game of keep away, basically, with a briefcase and stuff on a Japanese Shinkansen bullet train. Um, and there's a lot of like action and fun and stuff that you see in the trailer. Great actors, and it looks really interesting. So, excuse me. So I don't know like all the ins and outs of the story outside of that. I just saw the one trailer, but I knew I was like kind of instantly excited to see it. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is something that, like I said, I wanted to make sure I got to pretty much right away when I could. As I said, I was originally going to see it in theaters, so I probably would have put out just a review of it originally. But when I really came to realize, it's like I'm not going to end up finding the ability to see this in the theater. I knew it's like, okay, I'll just react to it. And so it's like, so yeah, you're getting another extra movie reaction. Though this one was planned, unlike the Sailor Moon one, which was a result of my fuck up. This one was actually planned, and with the unscheduled format the channel now is in, I honestly do have the time to get to this, so I'm I'm going with it. But yeah, I hope to enjoy this. It seems like an action movie, but also a little bit of maybe a spy thriller. So I'm very excited to see if it words are escaping my mind, if it lives up to the hype of the trailer. There we go. But let's just get this started and hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black and fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Uh, I I think the best way to put this would be, holy Kentucky Fried Fuck. This was phenomenal. Like, this is entirely my kind of film. Um, and this is pretty much exactly what I expected from the trailer. I expected the intense action, even the blood and gore. I expected the comedy. I expected the ridiculousness, the tone, the style, all of it. But it was also so much better than I could have ever expected. Um, and let's start off with this star-studded cast. Brad Pitt, this is no joke. I would say one of my favorite Brad Pitt roles ever. He was so charismatic and charming in this, so funny, so just stand out. Great. Like, Brad Pitt's obviously a megastar. one of the biggest actors of all time. But this was just really a special role for him. Joey King was the prince, which it's like I vaguely know her. um, so it's like she played Ramona Quimby, for example, in Ramona and Beezus. She's not one I'm super familiar with, but she did really well, especially with the emotional manipulation and everything. Tangerine was Aaron Taylor Johnson. That was Quicksilver. I I did not even begin to guess that. It did not cross my mind that that was Quicksilver. Also, I was the one who played Jeffrey Dahmer in that new Dahmer movie, that everybody is having the completely wrong reaction to. People are glorifying that way too much. But I did not even put that together at all. He was just completely blended into this. I did not notice that was him at all. Brian Tyree Henry was Lemon. That one was obvious. He's an amazing actor. He's becoming a pretty notable name lately. He's gotten some pretty big roles. He was in Eternals as one of, well, the Eternals. But he was in something else. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Something else I've seen. Oh yeah, Godzilla vs. Kong. He was in that. He was in The Woman in the Window. He was in Into the Spider-Verse as well. Who was he in Into the Spider-Verse? Obviously a voice, but still, I'm not sure who he was. Oh, he was Jefferson Davis. He was Miles' father in Spider-Verse. Okay. That's a pretty notable role. He was in Joker. Apparently he's going to be in both Across the Spider-Verse and the Godzilla vs. Kong sequel. He's getting some good roles lately, and he's really good. So I'm really glad that they're giving him more to work with. Yuichi Kimura was Andrew Koji. I don't think I recognize that name. It's one of the only names I think I don't recognize here. Okay, he was Storm Shadow in the Snake Eyes movie, apparently. I never saw that. He was in Fast and Furious 6. And not much of anything else that I know or would know. Okay. So he's probably one of the more unknown actors. Yeah, he was the father. But you have fucking Hiroyuki Sanada as the elder, Yuichi's father. Just such a great role for him. He was so badass in this. The White Death was Michael Shannon, which it's like, when I saw that here, it's like, oh, I would not have guessed that. I've seen Michael Shannon, I believe, in various random things here and there. Let me see if I can find some examples here to let you know. And I've definitely I heard of him by name a lot. Oh yeah, he was in Man of Steel as General Zod. That's a notable one. He was Zod. Also in Batman v Superman, of course, because of the connection there. He was in Knives Out. He's also in this Amsterdam movie as well. That's apparently a big deal. But yeah, apparently he's also going to be in the Flash movie. I guess through flashbacks or some shit. But yeah, so Michael Shannon there. The Wolf was Bad Bunny. He's a rapper and singer. I vaguely know of him. He's one of the ones I know less about, but I know he's extremely popular. Obviously, at the end there, we see Maria, after hearing her voice throughout the film. It's, of course, Sandra Bullock, because why the fuck not? I would have not guessed it from the voice, but it's like, oh yeah, okay. That was Zazie Beetz as the Hornet, by the way, so I did get that right. The son, the White Death's son, was Logan fucking Lerman. It's like, the fuck it was? That was fucking Percy Jackson. I know people don't like that version of Percy Jackson, but that's where I know him from, okay? The train conductor was Masioka, who is from Heroes. He's known for starring in Heroes. But the fucking train concession girl was Karen Fukuhara. Karen fucking Fukuhara from The Boys, from Suicide Squad, from fucking She-Ra and Kipo. Karen Fukuhara. I did not notice, but after I found that out, it's like, oh my god, yes it was. It so fucking was her. I think it's the wig. I think the wig, the different colored hair and everything threw me off. And also, she was obviously a very minor character. We also had Channing Tatum and Ryan Reynolds in cameos. A really star-studded cast. So I just wanted to take some time to talk about all of that, just get those thoughts. So the story is a little confusing because there's so many moving parts, so many characters that come into play in different ways at different times, and they all connect by the end. It's not something that I'm by any means going to be able to properly articulate here. It's me. I'm already not great with articulating my thoughts on complex stories, but I really like how it was delivered to us. We got little pieces at a time, and slowly as the movie continued, they started connecting. It's like you're seeing parts of a puzzle. And as you start to continue putting together the puzzle, other parts start making more sense. You start seeing the more clear picture. You might start in one corner, but then like stop and go to a different corner. But eventually they will connect in the middle. It's really well done. I also just, even outside of just the actors, I really like the characters too. Like Lemon and Tangerine were fantastic. I love Lemon's obsession with Thomas the Tank Engine. I almost combined it and said Trank. Thomas the Tank Engine. And I love his like kind of reason. It's like I learned everything about people from that, and it's like that's great. That's fun. It's just like it's kind of like a showcase of like modern people and the fandoms that they kind of you could say hyperfixate on, but also just in general give huge focus to. A lot of people learn a lot of stuff, even adults, from what could be seen as a kids show. That's a genuine thing. So I'm glad that they put it in here. And even though Tangerine, like and others maybe made fun of it a couple times, it was made very clear that he was like it was meant to be taken more seriously, and that there was nothing wrong with his love for Thomas the Tank Engine. So I really like that they showcased it that way. And apparently Tangerine and Lemon, by the way, are twin brothers. I mean, I guess maybe it's possible for twin brothers to be of different races, but I feel like that would be a very rare thing, and I'm not even sure how it would happen. I don't know a lot about how the biology of that would work, but I guess maybe it's possible. I don't know. Like, if they were just regular, like, brothers, like, sure. There's a lot of ways that could work. But if they're actually twins, it's like, I'm just kind of curious. And it's nothing against them, and I think their brotherly bond was very much apparent. It was very clear how much they cared for each other. But still. The prince was the one character who it's just like, I just was not sure on the entire film. Not because I thought she was like bad or like poorly written or anything. I was just unclear where she stood the entire time. So it's like, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to expect with her. Yuichi and his father and everything, starting out the movie with them, obviously we had the strong thorough line and a strong emotional connection to them right from the start. with the father Yuichi's son being in the hospital, and the elder being, the grandfather of him. And so, like, they have a strong connection, a strong emotional connection throughout the film, and by the end, them being two of the only survivors not only makes sense, but also is just really satisfying. Um, there's also a lot of fake out deaths, by the way, like Yuichi and Lemon and whatnot. Um, both have a fake out death. The prince kind of does, but also kind of doesn't. It's complicated, I guess. Um, but the wolf and the hornet were both in there for a very short amount of time, but they also got like backstories to them as well, and still felt like actual characters in this because they still all connected. And for the short time they were in, they did very well. Maria was mostly a voice during most of the film, but she really had a lot of personality in her vocal performance. Sandra Bullock, of course, great actress, but like her vocal performance throughout the film, like just speaking mostly, was fantastic. Um, Logan Lerman, for as small of a role he had to, like he really did. Yeah, I mean, he was obviously a major character, but his role was not huge in the actual film. Like he didn't do much, but he was still great for what he did pull off. Like everyone did a good job. Channing Tatum was actually fucking hilarious. One of the few times I can actually say that about Channing Tatum, because most of the time he's just cringeworthy, honestly. And I have nothing against him. It's just most of the time when he tries to do comedy, it just doesn't work. But here it was like, that's actually kind of funny. I actually kind of dig that. The effects were fantastic. Again, the style. This was so stylistic. And you know, funny enough, you know how almost this entire movie takes place on the Shinkansen. Almost the entire movie is on the Shinkansen. You have the characters going throughout the different train cars, fighting each other, all the action going on, all the intensity is on the train. Was this inspired, at least to some degree, by Train to Busan? Because it very much felt like Train to Busan in that regard. Obviously, instead of horror, they went with a comedic action thriller. But it still had a very Train to Busan feel. Just the fact that most of the film was on the train, and those that weren't were still directly connected and eventually still got them back on the train. The high action scenes, even the trains colliding at the one point. It's like that's very Train to Busan. And it's just like, huh. And really, the only thing that I was kind of I was kind of expecting the conductor, Masioka, to actually have a bigger role by the end, to actually be like some kind of like plant for someone. He just kind of disappears after a certain point. He just completely disappears and isn't shown again. Unless I missed something, like blinked and missed something, I don't think it ever showed him die. So where did he just go? Maybe I did miss something, but um, the soundtrack in this, oh my god, the soundtrack was amazing. Having some Japanese versions of classic songs, um, Staying Alive and Holding Out for a Hero, two fantastic songs. But even the rest of the music in this was phenomenal. They were so good. I just, I really loved it. And it all fit, like, every time one of the songs played, it fit with the tone of the scene at hand. It worked. Um, the just overall feeling of the film, the excitement, the pulse pounding fun, it was so damn good. And I went into this expecting to like it because, as I said, I loved the trailer. Um, and I went into this like really excited. This is why I wanted to see this in theaters. This is, I mean, it would have been phenomenal in theaters. This is why I wanted to see it in theaters, though. This is why I wanted to get to this right away and not wait for someone to have to choose it as a donation reward because I wanted to make sure that I got to this and I didn't want to wait. um, and so I think we'll end off. I want to look at the critical response to this too. Because even though I know it's probably not going to live up to how much I freaking love this movie, I want to see what this says. So give me a second here to bring this up. Okay. Yep, already I can tell I'm not going to probably like this. On Rotten Tomatoes, which, as I always say, take with a grain of salt because Rotten Tomatoes, let's be honest, does not have the best system for reviews or for critiques or consensuses or whatnot. Anyways, 53% of 325 critics gave the film a positive review, with an average rating of 5.6 out of 10. The website's critics consensus reads, Bullet Train's colorful cast and high-speed action are almost enough to keep things going after the story runs out of track. So the basic thing seems to be there. People don't like the story, I guess, which is ludicrous to me. Anyway, Metacritic assigned the film a weighted average score of 49 out of 100 based on 61 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Excuse me. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B plus on an A plus F scale, which I think is a little more fair, at least. I would put it as A plus, but Post Track, which I don't know if I've ever heard of Post Track, have I? I don't know. Gave the film an 82% overall score, with 63% saying they would definitely recommend it. Okay, so now here's some actual review stuff here, outside of just, film sites. Richard Roper of the Chicago Sun-Times rated the film 3.5 out of 4 stars, calling it wildly entertaining, and praised the performances, the creative and blood-splattered action sequences, and most of all, the writing. I would agree to that. I would agree to that. Peter DeBruge of Variety wrote, Bullet Train feels like it comes from the same brain as Snatch. I don't know that one. Wearing its pop style on its sleeve, a Kill Bill-like mix of martial arts, manga, and Gabby Hitman movie influences, minus the vision or wit that implies. Well, I disagree on the last part because it definitely had vision and wit. But I can actually see the comparison to stuff like Kill Bill, manga, and these type of Hitman movies. Like that's very much, I feel, accurate to that. Um, so that's pretty interesting. So let me see here. I want to check one more thing. I want to check to see what the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is comparatively. So let me check here real quick. Yeah, because the critic score and the audience score doesn't necessarily connect. So give me just a quick second. Okay, so the audience score based on 5,000 plus verified ratings is 76%, which is over 20% higher than the tomato meter. So the audience says it could have been a more entertaining ride, but if you're in the mood for a decent thriller to pass the time, Bullet Train will get you where you want to go. That's the general audience consensus, which is, just basically created by an algorithm practically. It's the most basic thing. It doesn't actually say what the people are saying. Also, more entertaining ride. How could you not be entertained by this? This was like entertainment was kind of the name of the game with this film. Let's actually check some reviews here. I don't want the critic reviews, though. Audience reviews. Oh, there's no audience reviews shown here. Okay, never mind. Here we go. Okay. Visually sumptuous. I love that word. Extremely slick and stylish. An impeccable Brad Pitt and company. Plethora of violence of all sorts. A great background score plus music and a fun time at the movies. A must watch. Bit of a Tarantino ripoff. There's the Tarantino idea. It is very Tarantino-like. And the ending is overly boisterous, but still an enjoyable romp, mostly due to Brad Pitt. No idea why the film was set on a bullet train. There were quite a few Japanese people in it. Yes, there were a lot of non-Japanese actors and all too, but there were Japanese actors. There's also some that are like saying like they didn't like it and whatnot, saying it was cheap knockoff. Tries to be witty and comedic, tries to be action, but not really that great at it. Some more people who loved it here and there, and yeah, it seems like it's very mixed, but mostly positive in terms of the audience reviews here. But as I always say, never judge a movie, never determine what you think of a movie based on other people at all. Don't let other people's reviews, don't let websites tell you what to think of a film. A website, other people can hate a film, you could end up loving it. It's all subjective, and you should come to your own conclusions based on your own viewing experience rather than determine it based on what other people say. Don't do that. That's not a way to enjoy any piece of media. Check it out for yourself if you're interested, of course. If you're not interested, if it's not your kind of movie at all, you can usually tell that at least. But you shouldn't say like, oh, it's terrible or it sucks without like giving it a chance. Just it's not your kind of movie. But yeah, I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was probably one of the best movies I've seen this year, I would say. I would have to go over everything else I've seen this year, both from this year and not, which, as always, I will be making a list of the best movies I've seen this year, which will include stuff I've reacted to and stuff I saw in theaters. So look forward to that probably either right at the end of the year or right at the beginning of 2023. Either way. But I will be making that list for sure. I've been keeping track of everything I've been watching. So, yeah, there will be a list coming. And I don't know, it might be even more than a top 10. It might be a top 20, because there's been a lot of movies I've watched this year. We'll see. We'll see. Either way, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of Bullet Train? Did you absolutely adore it as much as I did? Did you like it just not as much? Or did you dislike it? Let me know down in the comments below. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.